It's now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Kevin Owens legitimately furious, backstage heat on Charlotte Flair, what was revealed after Smackdown, Brock Lesnar has supposedly retired from WWE, is Penta ever going to wrestle without his mask, have WWE changed up WrestleMania plans, Fenix's heroic save goes viral, a former champion returning to WWE, and much more. Now first we looks at Kevin Owens being legitimately furious about this. On top of today's news is a talk of Kevin Owens being legitimately furious that the news of his injury was leaked online. During his interview on My Mom's Basement, Owens would claim that some office employee at WWE HQ was the one who leaked the news. It really annoys me, actually. I woke up to seeing that it was already leaked, and it really upsets me, especially because I know that whoever leaked it is some office employee that should have known this shit in the first place. I told people this is gonna leak. They're like, no, we're keeping it tight-knit. But then yesterday, obviously, some departments had to find out for some reasons. And now someone who shouldn't have known this stuff found out, and it went where it shouldn't. And now they took away my right to tell people, because now everybody knows already. So, I know. Now, Owens has every right to be annoyed with the leak, and it must have been extremely upsetting to find your undisclosed health information plastered all over the internet before you've even had the opportunity to break the news to the audience. Next up, Kevin Owens shoots on a former WWE star. Last month, a former WWE star, Matt Riddle, had some incredibly negative comments to make when it came to Owens and Sami Zayn. According to Riddle on the Going Ringside podcast, Owens and Zayn were the hardest to work with during his time in WWE. Hardest opponent in the ring? I would have to say Sheamus. Sheamus, easy to work with, he hits really hard, so hardest in the ring. But then when I think about who's harder to maybe work with, I would have to say Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. It's hard to put a complete sentence together with those guys, if you know what I'm saying. Very difficult. Owens has now had the opportunity to address Riddle's comments, and Owens didn't exactly hold back. Speaking on My Mom's Basement, this is what the former Universal Champion had to say. No, it didn't take me by surprise, but I did see it. It's funny, because coming from him, I have nothing against him at all, but to me, he's a guy who had really amazing opportunities handed to him. Like being Randy's tag team partner for so long and basically getting to ride the coattails of a legend, and he managed to screw it all up, not because of his abilities, because he's very talented and very athletic, but because of his own attitude and poor choices. Now, Riddle seems to be the only former WWE name to come out and speak negatively about both men. And it's rather interesting that Riddle has this opinion of two names that appear to be universally loved backstage in WWE. Next up, backstage heat on Charlotte Flair. Arguably the biggest talking point coming out of WWE this week is the promo segment between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. The segment went really off the rails, with both women throwing in cheap, unscripted shots at each other. Now, some of those were definitely too hot for WWE, and they managed to remove the line where Tiffany Stratton took a shot at Flair's marriages of being 4 and 3, as well as Flair getting particularly annoyed and responding with the line that Kaiser was in her DMs, something that Ludwig Kaiser even responded to. But according to the Wrestling Observer, a close source to Stratton said Flair went off script first, and Stratton just had to retaliate. Stratton rolling out of the ring was an attempt to avoid the situation getting worse, and it was added that the tension between the two had been brewing for some time. Now, when it comes to backstage heat, there was said to be more heat on Charlotte Flair than on Stratton at this point. But this is such a messy situation, and whilst it's ignited a feud ahead of WrestleMania 41, WWE needs to urgently address this behavior of both women. Let's be fair, Charlotte Flair hasn't been shy about going off script in the past. Next up, what was revealed after Smackdown. As Smackdown this week closed out with a hot angle of Roman Reigns being taken out with a GTS, and WWE would take to their social media channels to share the aftermath. In the clip, Roman Reigns is seen walking to the back with a distraught Paul Heyman trailing behind, and Reigns fails to address Heyman in the video, and it's definitely the case that WWE are planting the seeds that the friendship between the two has now come to an official end. Heyman will be in CM Punk's corner at WrestleMania 41 in 2 weeks, and there's rampant speculation in relation to how the match will end. Will Heyman turn on Punk or Reigns, or will Heyman actually side with Seth Rollins? The possibilities are endless, and the inclusion of Heyman in the middle of the heated feud has without a doubt taken the excitement for the matchup to a whole new level. Next up, Brock Lesnar is retired. Now, there seems to be a lot of gossip surrounding Brock Lesnar's official status with WWE. Is he in the company or is he not? Is he coming back or has he retired forever? Brock Lesnar hasn't wrestled for WWE since SummerSlam 2023, when it was seen that he was passing the torch over to Cody Rhodes. However, Lesnar was then removed from all WWE creative plans after his name was mentioned within the Janelle Grant lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and the WWE. As such, creative plans for Lesnar were entirely scrapped, including a supposed match with Gunther, which was either supposed to happen at WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble. However, when it comes to his official status within WWE, well, a fan on Instagram claimed to have spoken with Brock Lesnar when he bumped into him in public. And the fan mentioned on his Instagram post, "Did you ask him if he was going to come back to WWE? I did. He said that he's not and he's retired." Whilst again this has not been confirmed by WWE or Brock Lesnar himself, it does fuel the speculation that Lesnar has indeed retired from wrestling altogether. What do you guys think? Is Lesnar truly finished with WWE? Next up, Rey Fenix's heroic save goes viral. Rey Fenix made his highly anticipated WWE debut this week on Smackdown, and a lot of attention is on Fenix's heroic save during his match with Nathan Frazier. As Frazier went to perform a trademark dive to the outside, it looked like he was about to land right on his head. However, Fenix extended his knee out, and this allowed Frazier to slow down his momentum. Dives to the outside are one of the most dangerous spots in wrestling, so it was extremely lucky that Frazier was wrestling someone as talented as Fenix. Fenix is well established as being incredible in the ring, and his debut match was the perfect showcase of why he has such an elite reputation in the pro wrestling world. Next up, Jade Cargill breaks character. Jade Cargill and Naomi have done a phenomenal job in building their WrestleMania showdown. The two talented women have set the template for how to build an undercard match at WrestleMania. Both women's social media games have been on top form. But with that being said, Cargill decided to briefly take a break from the feud this weekend as she took to X to thank the fans and state that the storyline with Naomi means a lot to her. Thank you to the fans. This story that's unfolding means a lot to me. Glad you're all on the ride. Whether you hate it or love it, thank you. Cargill was clearly feeling the love and appreciation from fans, and for very good reason. Cargill vs Naomi at WrestleMania 41 will officially act as the first singles non-titles women's match in WrestleMania history. Of course, it excludes the outlandish gimmick matches of yesteryear. This is an insane statistic that took 41 years for the women to be given a spotlight outside of a traditional title matchup. Next up, is Penta ever going to wrestle without his mask? Now, the idea of Penta wrestling unmasked seems unfathomable. However, the WWE star has a solid pitch for an angle which could see him unmasked. Speaking to WWE's German digital media team, Penta stated that his dream match is a mask versus mask showdown with his brother Rey Fenix. My dream match, mask versus mask, Penta versus Fenix. I don't know when, maybe only in my mind it happens, but maybe in 10 or 15 years it's possible. Now, this would be a mega money match for WWE to book, and this is the type of match that screams WrestleMania. All signs point towards Penta making his WrestleMania debut in a title match in 2 weeks. Penta is intertwined in the feud between the Judgment Day and Braun Breaker, and a multi-man match is rumored for the Intercontinental title on the grand stage. Next up, have WWE changed up WrestleMania plans? Speaking of WrestleMania 41 and the Intercontinental title, the names set for the match were rumored to be the champion Breaker, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and the aforementioned Penta. However, during a recent interview with Cal Now TV, Mysterio stated that his focus right now is making sure that Balor wins the title. Oh, I have no business in that. Right now, the priority is to help Finn win the IC title. I feel like I have to make up for this a little bit, and we'll see what happens. Could WWE be looking to run an angle where Mysterio costs Balor the title at WrestleMania? This would mean that the WrestleMania matchup would be a triple threat between Breaker, Penta, and Balor. This could work, however, Mysterio being involved would be a natural way to progress the tension in the group, and having Mysterio at ringside would be the most obvious indicator that Balor is about to have his quest to become champion shattered. Next up, is Cody vs The Rock finally happening? Whilst The Rock isn't set to wrestle at WrestleMania this year, all hope isn't lost, as with The Rock having a semi-regular role on WWE television, this opens the door for the final boss to have one final match. According to reigning WWE champion Cody Rhodes, he believes that The Rock needs to have not one, but 2 matches. These 2 matches are a match versus Roman Reigns and a match against him. Rhodes discussed this whilst appearing on Part of My Take, saying, "I've really enjoyed that connection with them. I'd like to be one of those. I think he has 2 matches that he has to do. Not putting any pressure on anyone, but I think he does. I'd love to see him and his cousin Roman Reigns ever have this encounter. Maybe it's the greatest match we never get because timing or whatever it may be, and I think we need to finish our own story with him and myself. We'll see. But The Rock having 2 matches would be an ambitious move, and if The Rock does wrestle again, it'll be interesting to see what name he opts to face. While Reigns is the most obvious choice and arguably the biggest money match in all of modern day wrestling, The Rock is evidently a massive fan of the American Nightmare. The Rock has worked endlessly with Rhodes since his WWE return last year, and it's possible that The Rock will want to put Rhodes over in his final ever match. The Rock is once again in the middle of a storyline with Rhodes, and although The Rock has stated that the payoff to the rivalry doesn't have to be an actual match, it would be fitting to see the two collide and settle their issues in a squared circle. Finally, a former champion returning to television. Our final story today takes a look at an interesting comment from former WWE star Chris Jericho, who seemingly changed his stance on returning to WWE. Over the past few years, Jericho has downplayed the idea of ever returning to WWE, yet during a recent HRWF event, this is what the first ever undisputed champion had to say. So yeah, of course I would consider going back there, but also consider not going back there too. It just depends on what the situation is and what's going on with me at the time. We'll see. It's not even a never say never thing, it's more like consider all your options and choose wisely. And if you followed my career, you know I've never had a problem with changing, evolving, reinventing, or taking chances. I'm not scared of that. And Jericho has clearly changed his tune, and is it possible that he's planning a WWE return? Him being inducted into the Hall of Fame one day is inevitable, yet the question is, does that justified induction come with one final run? WWE are starting to deliver retirement tours, and as we're seeing right now with John Cena and names with The Undertaker pushing for WWE to do this with all notable legends, a similar approach with Jericho could work extremely well.